Oh, okay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our next lesson. I see our number of participants is climbing up quite quickly. Please excuse the dogs in the background. I am going to wait until we hit 10 o'clock, just to be sure that everybody that wants to join has already joined. I'm very pleased to see some familiar names in the chat list, either that I already know or that I have seen joining our lessons every day. And it's very nice to be able to see these familiar names and to be able to be interacting with you. Let's change screens just so that we've got something different happening. I'm sure you all know this by now. Grade 10 IT, I'm Karen Anderson with my dogs in the background. Hopefully they'll be quiet in the next 2 minutes. Thanks, Jason. I'm sure they appreciate the greeting. All right, let's move on to at least the list of what we're going to be doing today. We discussed random range yesterday and random. Now we're going to actually apply it. I hope that a large portion of you have actually managed to download the data for the textbook, so that if not during the lesson, certainly after the lesson, you can go through these activities again and make sure that you understand and can apply what we've done. Okay. Looks like our attendance is dropping a bit from previous days. I don't know if it's becoming harder to wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I don't know about you, the waiting is killing me. I want to just get on with this now. Okay, yes, finally, we've now hit 10 o'clock, so let's go. Right, so you've been able to look at my screen for long enough to be able to determine exactly what it is that we're going to be covering today. So hopefully this looks pretty familiar to you. If not, let's look at it. Okay, so before we actually start on working on the basics activity from the textbook, I want to show you one more component that is a really useful one. It's called a labeled edit. Now, the nice thing about a labeled edit is that in one component, as you can see in my screenshot here, I have both a label part and an edit part. So it just makes it easier when designing my program. I don't have to add a separate label and edit. Yes, Callum, we have done this activity in class, but it's always good practice to do it again, because I think some people got stuck on the logic in this activity. Okay, so yes, here I've got one component called a labeled edit, and we still name it as EDT. Okay, so let's have a look again at the bits and pieces involved. So when you want to add a labeled edit, you go to your tool palette and you start typing the same as you would for a label, but then you skip the top two and you select the labeled edit. When, oh dear Ellie, at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, I will show you a link to get the textbook. Okay, then once this video is uploaded onto YouTube, you can then go and follow through again to see exactly what you need to do. Okay, so let's have a look. The labeled edit requires a little bit of thinking and looking carefully, because as far as naming is concerned, it's pretty straightforward. We go into the object inspector, we find the name property, and we give it the same name as what we would give a regular edit, because it just makes it easier. But when the time comes to now being able to apply or work with the caption of the label part or the text property of the edit part, you've got to be a little bit more careful. So the text property is pretty simple. Look in the object inspector, you find the text property, and that's where you are most likely going to clear the text or add sample data. The caption property is a little bit harder to find. Okay, you need to look for the edit label property in the object in the object inspector, sorry. Click the plus sign next to it, which will bring down a long list of properties that you can change. And in that you will find the caption property, where you can change the caption of your labeled edit. Okay, so let's move on. We are now going to complete this activity. Hopefully the children from my class will look at it and go, okay, now I know what you're talking about. So I've placed this screenshot here because the instruction in the book is to create this interface. I'm not going to go through that now in this lesson, because that to me is a bit of a waste of time. So I have in this platform, in class time, I would make my classes do it, but right now, I'm rather going to just have it created and show you. So this is what the form needs to look like. These are the names of the components that you are adding. Okay, and like I said, here is my version of this program. Now, a couple of things that I just want to point out to you before we actually get on to the activity. It's always a good idea to add sample data to your components when you write your program. Okay, I see Hannah, I'm not sure if those are initials afterwards, but like I said, you can find the link to the data, and then you can download it and watch the video on YouTube when it's uploaded and go through the activity. Okay, or else you can go to the ITSI website and you can purchase the electronic version of the textbook that I'm using and then download it onto your computer. Okay, right, so let's move on. So like I said, put sample data into the components, because it means that when you test your program, at least you don't have to fill in all of these bits of information before you can click the process button to see what's going on. So just once again, I just want to show you my labeled edit. It's called EDT name. There you can see in the object inspector, it's called a T labeled edit. Text property has John in it. If I want to find the caption property, there's my edit label property. I click the plus sign next to it, and there is my caption for name. So I can make all of those changes as I go along. Okay, Cameron, I'm using a textbook that's called Dandelion Delphi. There we go. Thank you, Callum. I appreciate the help. That you can either, obviously you can't buy it in any stores now, but you can download the ebook version on IT Schools Internet. Okay. And yes, you can do the well, I don't know what's going to happen as far as the lockdown is concerned and what's going to happen with the classes, because obviously a lot of us teachers have to go back to our real jobs. But well, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly the Africa Teen Geeks YouTube channel uploads all lessons after they've been completed. Okay. Right, so let's move on. Here we have our form. Over here is the instruction for this activity. So the instruction says, double click on the button and do the following. Input, declare the variables in brackets with the data type as indicated by the prefix below. Now, what I've done is I've actually also already declared these variables, but let's go through them. So I want a name variable called sname. I want a surname called surname. I want a year of birth called IYOB. So that means that this is going to be a what data type variable? Right, integer. Good. Well done, Jason, Lauren, on the ball. Grade is also going to be an integer. School days passed this year. Well, that's a little bit of a tricky subject, hey, sensitive subject. And then I'm going to have the percentage goal for my practical for term 1. Oh, well, you might have to make that term 2 or 3 now. And my percentage goal for my theory. And all of these are going to be integer values. Then the next instruction says store input from the user from the appropriate objects and their properties. So let's go back to our Delphi program. I'm in the process button. Remember that. Even though I'm referring to lots of components, I need to go into the on-click event of the process button, which is fortunately just double click. Yes, Callum, gray area. Right, so there are my variables all declared nicely for me. So now all I have to do is store my input. So I'm going to start with indicating via a comment that I'm starting with my input. Okay, I need to separate the sections of my program, not only for myself, but for anybody else that might be reading my code. So the first step is going to be sname gets the value of EDT name, and I can remember press Control space bar, and it will start predicting what I'm looking for. And there's only EDT name, so I can press enter to select it. Dot text, simple, straightforward. Surname is going to be the same. EDTS, Control space bar, surname dot text. Same data types, and I'm all happy. Okay. Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, the two slashes here tell my compiler to ignore this line of code. And yes, I can use curly brackets. You'll see I've actually used them later on. The curly brackets are used to comment a whole collection of code. So if it's just one line like this, I'm going to use my two slashes. If I wanted to comment out, let's say, an entire on-click event of the button, I'm going to open my round brackets and then at the end of the code, close the round brackets. And therefore, if I've made a mistake there, my program will still run and it will ignore all of that code. Okay, yes, if I want to exclude it. Right, so let's have a look now. We need to get the rest of our input. So let's look at this, the screen to see what I'm going to do. So year of birth is my next one. It's called EDTYOB, and I've declared a variable called IYOB. So now I'm going to say IYOB gets the value of, and what have I got to remember? Oh dear, I've got to remember to write correctly or type. What's the first thing I need to type? Can I just go EDTYOB dot text? Is that acceptable? Yes, well done, Ryan. Capital letters, case isn't important. I need to say stir to int, open brackets, and put the brackets around EDTYOB dot text. Okay, so I need to convert from a string property to an integer property, or data type, sorry, data type. Okay, let's look at the next one. What's next is my grade. So again, I'm going to go iGrade gets the value of string to int EDT. Okay, it's not called EDT grade. Hang on a second. What have I done? What is coming? Where is the grade coming into what component? Good. A spin edit. Yes. SED. So iGrade gets the value of SED grade dot what? Good, Jason, dot value. Okay. Do I need to do any conversions if I'm reading in from a spin edit? No. Good, because the value property of a spin edit is already integer. So there's no need to do any conversions. Right, what's next? Next is school days passed in the year. So now I'm going to say I days gets the value of, and now I do have to string to int, EDT. Again, don't know what it's called. School days, double click on it, dot text, close inverted commas, semicolon. Next one is going to be my practical and my theory marks. So I prac gets the value of EDT, oopsie, practical dot text, am I right? Aha, okay, no, I think that no answer came in from later, hey? I have to apply string to int to the code, and I theory is going to get the same thing, string to int, EDT, theory dot text. So that is now all of my input finally captured. So the next step is going to go / processing. So now I'm going to perform my calculations. Let's have a look quickly once again at what I need to do. I've declared my variables, I've got my input. Now I need to calculate and work out what is my age going to be at the end of this year. And I'm going to store that. Am I missing a bracket? Okay, let's have a look and see. Where? Second last one. Okay, lagging for you. All right. Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, let's go back quickly. Okay, so I want to know my age at the end of this year. I'm going to store it in IH. I want to know the number of years until I get to matric. Oh, at this stage, that's another loaded question, isn't it? What year will the user be in matric? And then how many school days are left to the end of matric if we know that there are 197 school days in a year? Okay, Stanley, I see you've raised your hand. Can you, if there's a question, just type it for me and then I'll try and answer it. And then I want to know the average mark for term 1, which is going to be practical and theory added together and then divided by something, but we'll look at that just now. And remember to use the brackets to force the BODMAS. So let's go back to our Delphi program and start with our processing. So the first thing is going to be IH. I need to calculate my age. Now, under normal circumstances, how would I calculate my age? I have the year that I was born in, or that you were born in. Let's not discuss the year that I was born in. Okay, right. Well done, Ruben, jumping in there. Okay. Now, what Ruben has said is he's typed current year. Who knows what current year is? Now, I don't want to know what the actual current year is. I want to know what this word is. What does it mean? Okay, good. It's a built-in function that returns the current year from the system date. Now, you've got to remember that this computer is only working on the information that you give it. So whatever your system date is, for example, if you set your system date back to 1974, then the current year is going to return 1974. Fortunately, my system is correct, so it's going to return 2020. So how do I use this to calculate my age? I say, what year is it now? Minus, people have already typed it, IYOB. So the contents of the year of birth variable is now going to be used. No, I don't need to code the current year into the program, Cameron. My computer will do it for me, because if I did this, I love these questions, guys. Please keep them coming. If I did this, would my program work next year? No. Then I'd have to go in and change it all over again. So I rather use current year, because then next year it'll pick up the current year's 2021, and in 10 years time it'll still work. So I try and make sure that I, as the programmer, am not going to have to release updates to my program every year. Okay. Then the next question is the number of years to matric. Okay, and I'm going to store that in I year. Okay, used if statements to work out I year as someone maybe a year.
Hi, ma'am.
Okay. Very clever, Callum. You are 100% right, because this calculation could change depending on where in the year somebody's birthday is. But if you read the question, it says your age at the end of this year. Okay, so fortunately, you wouldn't need to consider that in this program. Okay, right. So what are we working out now? We're now working out the number of years to matric. So I year is going to get the value of, now you need to work out, when will I be in matric? How am I going to calculate that? How many years till I get to matric? What am I going to use? Good. Matric is the 12th year. I have when I'm going, what grade I'm in now. So I'm going to say 12 minus I grade. So if I was in grade 6, 12 minus I grade is going to mean I still have 6 years until I get to matric. Okay. If I grade equals 8, then I year equals 4. Yes, it would work, Callum, but then you'd have to have an if statement for every single grade, as opposed to take 12 minus whatever grade you're in. Okay. Also, I want to ask you something else. Just now I said to you the 2020. There go the dogs again. Yesterday just now I said to you the 2020 is can't be used because I'd have to change my program. What is it? Does this count here? Is it okay for me to use 12 in this instance? Yes, because it's not going to change, okay, unless they suddenly add a year and matric is now is going to be a 13th year or something like that. So this is going to work perfectly. Now, the next thing that I need to calculate is your matric year. In other words, what year will this person that's using this program actually be in matric? So I matric is going to get the value of, well done, Ryan, current year plus I year, because that's how many years it is until matric. Okay, well done. So it's going to once again be current year plus I year. So I year tells me it's going to be 6 years until I get to matric. So therefore, whatever the current year is, plus 6 is going to be the year that I make it into matric. Hopefully, as long as I don't have any other hiccups along the way. Then the next question was, how many school days are left to the end of matric? Here's the question. Okay. Each year has 197 school days. So step 1 is going to be, I'm going to work it out in I days. So I'm going to store the calculation in I days. So I days. Okay, so somebody's asking me for accuracy, why don't you use date of birth and current date? The problem is that, oh, and current date, yes, you could. You could definitely be a lot more accurate, but then you're probably going to get a decimal answer. And I don't know, but I think we're all past the 12.5 phase. Okay, that's a very good question, Sean. Let me give it some thought. I know that you can get the free Delphi version off the Embarcadero website. It's a newer version than Delphi 2010 though. It's called Delphi 10.3, and you can then get a free license to use it. Okay, right, so let's get back to our calculation. So I need to calculate how many days I have left until I get to matric. Now this, yes, we are going to be able to have to do a bit of a calculation, because I need to know, already I've had some years pass, some days passed in this year, and somebody's already well on the ball. Thank you. So I'm going to say 197 minus I days. Okay, I asked the user to tell me how many days have passed this year. I want to force this calculation to happen first, because remember BODMAS, the minus, no, I don't think you can get it free on the Microsoft store because it's not a Microsoft product. Okay. Right, so that's going to give me how many days for this year. Now what do I need to do? Now I have to go plus what? Anybody got any suggestions? I'm going to put brackets in so long while I wait for you. What's going to happen in here? How am I going to calculate the rest of the days ahead of me? Good, yes. I year, which holds, remember, the number of years until I get to matric, times 197, because there are 197 days. And I'm not, oh, look at that. I couldn't work out what I've done wrong there. So much for syntax errors. Okay. There isn't really a program that you can use as a substitute if you can't get Delphi. You should quite easily be able to just search for a Delphi download on the internet, because you can definitely get certainly a trial version or else a free version, a community edition. Okay. I think it's called Delphi Tokyo, RAD Studio 10.3. That's it. Thank you, Neil. Yes. Okay. So that's the one that you can download and you can get a license for free from there. Yes, it is legal to get it for free with the APK. Okay, guys, I'm not going to get into the torrenting debate because if you are, yes, the full version is very expensive, but you can get the free community edition on the Embarcadero website without resorting to downloading it illegally. Okay, please don't download it illegally. Okay, let's move on. Our next calculation is now going to be to calculate the average mark for term 1. So I'm going to have RAVG. Now I've already declared RAVG. Why have I declared it as real? Everything else is integer. Okay. Why would I declare it as real? Because I have to divide. Well done. As soon as I'm dividing, I have to store it in a real value. So what am I going to do? In order to get my term 1 average, I have to say, again, using my brackets, I practical, and my control space bar works with my variables as well, plus I theory. So I'm adding the mark that I want to get for practical and theory. That's 2 marks. So therefore, to get the average of those 2, I need to divide by 2. Okay, thank you, Sean. I see you've given us a link to the Delphi website as well. It's 2. Well done. That's going to now give me my average. Oopsie, somebody's talking in the background there. Okay, now my next step is output. So I've done my processing. Now I need to display the results of everything that I've done. So if I have a look here, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. I don't think there's an online version. No, I think you have to actually download it. Okay, Neil there's put in a nice link. Okay, so if I were you guys, I would take a photo of that and then try and download it later. Okay, right, so here's my output. The first thing that you see, remember what I said to you guys, you must look at the sample output to know what is required of you. So if you look here, this output says J. Smith. So it's taken what was in John and done something with it. What has it done? Let's start. Okay, it's not called read output. I'm now wide awake, aren't I? And I'm going into the wrong thing. It is called mem output. Okay, so mem output dot lines works exactly the same as the rich edit dot add open brackets. And I'm going to display the person's initial, a full stop, and their surname. So how do I display a person's initial? From using S name. Oh dear, the dogs are excited today. Right, well done. It's going to be S name, square brackets 1. So that's going to take the first character. I think it's being recorded already. I don't know if Zoom will allow you to record. But okay, let's move on. S name, square brackets 1. There was a full stop after the J. So I have to add plus a full stop to make it look like that. Plus, and then finally, it's just going to be a surname next to that. Then my next line, okay, and like I tell my classes, I am all for working smarter, not harder. So depending on which is faster, I'm now going to copy and paste, have a look and see what's next, age. So now I type the word age, colon, space, close inverted commas, plus, and now in order to output the person's age, I'm going to type, remember, I'm doing the reverse now. I'm saying into string, I age. Oopsie. Close inverted commas, semicolon. Second inverted commas, 1 for into string and 1 for my M output. Next one, matric year. So now I'm going to say, and again, like I said, copy this line, paste it, and here I'm going to say, oopsie, wrong one. Matric year, so I'm going to type matric year in place of this, and over here I'm going to output I matric. Next one, Control V to paste the next line. Have a look at the next instruction. School days left. So here in the text here, I'm going to type school days left. Okay, and in here, I'm going to display I days. Oopsie, sorry guys. And then finally, I'm going to display my IT mark. And again, you've got to look carefully with a percentage sign after it. So I'm going to add another copy of my mem output. Okay, and in here, I'm going to type, sorry, IT mark. Okay. Like this, I need to double check myself. My memory is awful. Okay, IT mark is correct. Now this is not going to be correct. So what am I going to type here? I want to type R average. So therefore, I'm going to say float to stir F. I want to format. Okay, float to stir F. What am I outputting? R AVG. How am I formatting it? FF fixed, comma, 6 is perfect because this is a percentage. It's not going to go that high. Comma, look at your sample output, 2 decimal places. So I'm going to type 2, close off my float to string F, and plus a percentage sign. Callum, I did see you put it in there to add it on to the end. Okay. So somebody's asked about the square brackets 1. That is to extract just the first letter of S name. So let's test the program. And if I've done everything correctly, it should work. Okay, so here I've already got the sample data. This is why my life is easier. Let's put in a grade of 10. Okay, we've definitely had a few more than 6 days pass. Let's make it 30, just for fun. I'm hoping to get 70 for practical and 80 for theory. And now if I click the process button, do you see those of you who were asking? Only the J. Yes, this activity is in the data for the, oh, yeah, no, it's not, guys, because this one you had to create on your own. But if you go onto YouTube, I have put a screenshot of what it needs to look like so that for this activity, you can actually just use Delphi and this video. The next one, you are going to need the data. Okay, so someone's asked about what is FF fixed. I'm going to leave the program running and I'm going to show you in the code here. FF fixed tells you that you want to format your real value, although it does actually work with integers as well, to a fixed number of digits and particularly a fixed number of decimal places. So that's why it shows it as 75.000. Okay. Right, yes, 19 in grade 10. I didn't even see that well spotted in Woot. Okay, right, guys, so this is then my program. It's working perfectly. It's doing exactly what I need to, except for the fact that I have something called LBL date at the top there. Now, I skipped that out because I want to explain it to you before I carry on. So if you have a look at the instruction in the book and you go back up to the top, you'll see that there was an instruction that says in the forms on activate, display today's date in the label LBL date, as in the example. Now, I haven't taught you this, so I'm going to quickly go back to PowerPoint to explain it to you. Oopsie, and then I went too far. Right, Delphi has another function called format. I will go to the top. Now, somebody's asked me and I will go up to the top just now. Okay. Format date time is a way of formatting the date to a particular format. So this is an example of what format you might have. Okay. If you put, so you can see it goes how many days to display, what format to put the month in, what format to put the year in. And this here is a function just like current year. This one returns the whole date. Okay, yes, Cameron, this class is every day from 10 o'clock until about 10:45. Okay, so let's go back and see if we can now apply this format date time to our program. So the instruction was in the on activate event of the form. No, there won't be any lessons tomorrow. Thank you, Callum. I see you are definitely on the ball. There won't be lessons tomorrow because it's Easter. There also won't be any lessons on Monday because it's still Easter. And I'm starting to get to the point where the next time you hear me, I may have one dog less because I might just, I don't know what with him. Okay, please don't call SPCA, I promise. I'm not going to do anything to it. Right, on activate event of the form. Okay, what did I say? I want to display today's date. Give him a treat. I don't know. I don't think he deserves a treat right now. Okay, LBL date dot caption gets the value of, here comes another function, format date time, like I just explained to you, open brackets. Now again, Delphi's helping me, tells me I need some sort of a string as the first argument here. So I open my quotes, okay? And then I'm going to do anything now, and then I'll have a look at what the instructions were. Okay, if I do YY, it's going to give me the short version of the year. So it's going to say 20. Okay. No, thank you, Enki. I don't know if you want to take the stock. Then MMM is going to give me a short version of, just because I don't feel like doing the whole year. I just want to show you how it works. Okay. MMM is going to give me the short version of the month. So for this month, it's going to be APR for April. Space DD is going to tell me to put 2 characters for for the day. Now, if it was like today where it's the 9th, it's going to put it as 09. Okay, comma, and then I just type date. Very useful because date is a function that will get today's date from the computer. So let's have a look at exactly what this does. Remember, it's going to happen in the on activate. So as soon as I run my program, there it is, 20 being the year, APR 09. Now let's have a look. Yes, thank you, Ellie. I appreciate you stepping in there. Okay, let's have a look quickly at what it was. They wanted us to display today's date and then day, long month, and short year. Now, this is a very cool trick, or something that's very important. In order to display today's date like this, okay, you'll see the Delphi gives me, well, okay, it doesn't because I've used the wrong character. Okay, but you'll see as soon as I put in my apostrophe, that could you use this method for time? Yes, you can. Yes. So you could include a format for the time as well. You'll see that it does something funny when I put my inverted commas. Thank you, Ryan. I need a double one because Delphi is quite fussy. It needs matching stuff. It's almost like it's a little bit OCD. Right. Now, I'm not going to change this, but just to point out that the question actually says, okay, I don't know who's asking what. Okay, just for you to see that this is how you can change the format of how you would output the date. If I put another M in there and I put 4 Ys, then it would display the date with the full year number and the long month name and then the 09. And then I was very bad, I should put a space in here. Right, then somebody wanted me to look at the top of the code. So I'm going to show it quickly so that you can see exactly what's involved, and then we will move on to the next lot of stuff. Okay, so there, take a picture, do whatever it is that you need, and now I'm going to file, close all, and I've just realized why the dogs are going so crazy. It's because the rubbish truck is outside. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to start with this activity, and we're not going to have a lot of time to do it because already I've waffled on for too long and we've only got about 6 minutes left. But let's get started on the next activity. So in my Delphi, this one, you do need the data. It's the Delphi built-in functions program. So if I were you, I would download the data so that you can actually work through this, because I will carry on with this activity on Tuesday. Okay, so step one, first thing I want to point out is we have another new component in this program, and that is the main menu. So this is what it looks like in the program. If I run it, okay, there we go. Somebody's shared the link to get the data. Thank you very much, Marika. Now everybody can get it from there. Okay. Okay. Right. Here is what a menu or a main menu looks like. So when I slide mark, you've all seen them before, and this is how you can add one to your Delphi program. Okay. I'm now going to go into the very first one here, which is the plus. Okay, you can close this, you don't really need it. And now let's go to the instructions for this activity. Excuse the scrolling. We've all learned about random range and the random function. And now the first thing that we're going to do is in the plus menu, we're going to store 2 random values. One, a number from 1 to 100, and the other, a number from 101 to 200. So in my program, I've already declared inum1, inum2, and iAnswer. So inum1 is going to get the value of random range, open brackets, and I said to you that it had to be from 1, 100. But in order to make it to 100, this has to be 101. Now, what should I have remembered, which I have done, and that's why this is working. What did I have to remember if I had newly downloaded this file and I needed to do the activity. And what it did was it put a red squiggly line under random range. What would I have needed to do? Yes, well done. I need to add math to the users list. So there's my users list right up at the top, and there is math. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my form because it's actually just easier to access the code back than scrolling down. Okay, now I need to now go inum2 gets the value of random range, open brackets, and the random number here was from 101 to 200. Oh, sorry, let me just double check that. Okay, it was 101 to 200, that's right. So it's going to be 101, comma 201, because it's going to stop at 200, so therefore I have to go one up. Then the next thing I saw back, what have I forgotten? This is input. Put your comments in, remember your comments. This is now going to be some very short processing, which is going to result in I answer gets the value of what? Okay, you're too slow, guys. inum1 plus inum2. Okay, so there is, could it not be from 100 to 201? Yes, it is. inum1 plus inum2. There we go. You guys are catching up. And now I'm going to do my output. And my output is going to be, if we have a look at the question, make sure that we know what we're doing. Calculate and store the answer. Display the two random numbers in EDT num1 and EDT num2 with a plus in the label LBL operator and the answer in EDT answer. So let's see if we can finish this question before we end off. So EDT num1 dot text gets the value of what? Again, it has to be into stir inum1. Okay, the next one is going to be the same thing, except that it's going to be EDT num2, and it's going to be num2, and then I need to put my operator in my label. So LBL operator dot caption, don't get mixed up between text and caption, is going to get the value of the plus symbol. And finally, I'm going to place the answer in EDT answer. So now EDT answer gets the value of, and again, it's going to be into stir I ans. Okay, let's run the program. Is it LBL? Yes, well done. What have I forgotten? Why is it? Because I can't spell. Okay, let's test this, and then that's going to be errors. Ha, what have I forgotten? That's such a rookie mistake. What have I forgotten? The dot text, thank you. Okay, wow. Let's run it again. Correctly this time.
What is an output?
What is an output? That's display. If I click
Okay,
my
thank you.
there's my two random numbers and the result of adding them together. Okay, so once again, I probably waffled too much. We are going to carry on with this activity on Tuesday. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask before we sign off? Okay, it looks like you're all okay and you're all happy to go and hunt in the garden. Okay, I generated random numbers because that was what the question asked me to do. So the question said, store two random values, and it gave me what I needed to. No, Delphi is not case sensitive, if that's what you're asking. Okay, the link for the next meeting, if you look on Instagram or you look on Facebook, the links all from now on will be the same. So whatever link you followed to get to today's meeting is going to be the same one that you follow on Tuesday. Okay. The reason why we put an I before the variable or the data type is because it indicates.
Ma'am, I have a question. It's very important.
Yes.
What is a vagina?
Okay, now if you're going to be like that, then I'm afraid I don't need you in my classes. Okay. Right, somebody asked about the I in front of the variable name. That is to indicate the data type. So whatever the data type is, it's going to start with an I. Okay. Right, guys, I think we need to finish off so that the next lesson can start. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you all back here on Tuesday, full of chocolates from Easter. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.